أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وآل البيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين سيما بقية الله في الأرض وجد من الحسن العسكري ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. Continuing from the discussion of niyyah and intention for fasting on the month of Ramadan. So for example, a person would come from traveling. We said traveling in Shahr Ramadan is generally makruh, but it's not forbidden. Also, it's not compulsory for a person to fast if they're going to come back to their watan or where they live before noon, before dhuhr. See, a lot of people think that, okay, so I'm traveling from X to YZ place. I'm coming to my hometown and I arrive, the flight for example arrives at 11 a.m. That means I have to fast. Or I arrive at 10 a.m. by car. That means I have to fast. That is a notion which is invalid. You can eat until you are in your hometown and you have the intention of fasting, you don't have to fast. So because the compulsion upon your shoulders is where you are there and then. I'll give an example.
So if you were to travel to another place to eat, then come back to your town, you can't eat anymore?
If you were to travel somewhere else and eat and you come back?
Yeah, sometimes in the Ramadan, people do that a lot. In the mornings, they get out of town, they have some food.
You can. I'll explain that with regards to Yawm al-Shak on Akhir Ramadan. Inshallah, we'll get to that in this session. Inshallah, we'll finish this quickly. So you have someone that is come back from holiday, say. They've just finished their holidays, it's the first day of Ramadan or second day of Ramadan. They're leaving that place, either by car, by train, by walking, whichever means. They know that they will arrive back to their home destination before dhuhr, which means their fasting can be correct. Now, before they leave, can they eat? Yes, they can eat. Do they have to have the intention of fasting when they arrive? No. If they've eaten, then and they have no intention, they can carry on eating, and they said they're not fasting that day. The fasting is, they just have to do the qada of that day without paying kafara for that one day that they've missed. So it's not compulsory for them to do it. Now, you might eat wherever you were and then have the intention later. You can also do this. See, with fast, depending on what kind of fast you have, the time of the intention differs. So for example, the fasting of Shahr Ramadan, you must have the intention, we said from when? When did you say we have to say?
Before you start traveling.
When?
Just before Ramadan.
The month of Ramadan. When do you have to, we talked about
Before
it.
you start traveling?
No, we said Fajr. Fajr al-Sadiq. Every day before Fajr al-Sadiq, you must have the intention that you're going to fast until Maghrib. If, however, this fast turns out to be a qada fast that you were doing for some other day, the wajib ghayr mu'ayyan we talked about, then your niyyah can be any time before dhuhr. So you wake up, you haven't done anything to break your fast, you haven't eaten, you haven't drank or used any of the mufattarat. You think, you know what, I've woken up 11 o'clock now and I owe a day's prayer, might as well fast the rest of the day. Okay? There's 1 hour to go to dhuhr, you decide that, you know what, today you're going to fast. Khalas. With regards to Shahr Ramadan, you can't do this. And with regards to Shahr Ramadan, you can't fast other than the Sawm of Shahr Ramadan. Now this is a difficult issue and the issue that some ulama have debated on. There is no permission to fast on Shahr Ramadan unless it's the fasting of Shahr Ramadan. What does that mean? It means that, for example, if you go elsewhere, if you go traveling, if you go to somewhere you need to break your fast, you're going somewhere for 5 days. Can you fast? It's easy for you? No. Not only that, if you say that I do another, if I'm traveling for 3 days, for 5 days, for 9 days, and I do another, that I'm going to do fast tomorrow, it's compulsory for me to fast tomorrow, right? Because I've done another. However, does it count as one of the fasts of Ramadan? They say no. Okay? So that's two types of fasting. We said the mu'ayyan, غير mu'ayyan, and mustahab. Mustahab is even easier. Mustahab is even easier. You can change your niyyah, for example, in a minute. You can say, I'm going to eat. As long as you haven't eaten, change your niyyah, I'm not going to eat. I'm going to carry on fasting. You wake up an hour before Maghrib. You think, you know what, it's Maghrib is an hour away. I'm going to, by the time I get my food ready, I might as well say, fast qurbatan Allah Ta'ala. It's Sha'ban, it's Rajab, it's mustahab. There's no problem. You can choose your niyyah at any time during the day before Maghrib, or before Ghurub rather, if you have not used any of the mufattarat. Now, the question you asked with regards to traveling comes into this point. First of all, with regards to Yawm al-Shak, we said Yawm al-Shak can be of two types. So one is the first day of Ramadan, people doubt if it's the first of Ramadan or it's the last day of Sha'ban. Anytime you have such a doubt, just like the Fajr and the Maghrib we talked about, there is a thing in Usul al-Fiqh called istishab. Some of you know what istishab is. So you have a doubt with regards to the previous, you have a doubt with regards to what is the situation now. You have a conviction with regards to what was previously. You carry on the conviction to what happens now. Before, I had conviction that I was in the month of Sha'ban. I have a doubt whether it's the last day of Sha'ban today, where I don't have to fast, or it's the first day of Ramadan. I had conviction about it being Sha'ban. I had a doubt with Ramadan. You carry on Sha'ban. You don't need to fast. Okay, that's your duty. The same with Ramadan. So Shahr Ramadan is up on us now. I don't know whether it's the last day of Ramadan or the first day of Shawwal. If it's the last day of Ramadan, then I have to fast. If it's the first day of Shawwal, the difference is only here. The first day of Shawwal is haram to fast. Okay? But until I have no conviction, I do istishab of it being Ramadan. I fast. I have a doubt. I haven't got a clock. I haven't got a jadwal to see what time the prayer timetable is. And I can't see into the windows. There's no way to find out. I have a doubt whether it's Fajr or not yet. Can I eat? Go and eat. Istishab Adam al-Fajr. It was before, it hadn't become Fajr. I have a doubt, it has to come. Until you have conviction it's Fajr. So you can eat as much as you like when you have this doubt. But the problem is where? On the other side. When you don't win in Maghrib, you can't eat. Until you have conviction is Maghrib. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that all clear?
So you stick to with the original.
Yes, your conviction. The same thing is that we use for wudu and for everything else. So for example, you have somewhere where it was originally clean. Now you have a doubt whether it's najis or not. Cleanliness overrules. You had wudu. You don't know whether you passed wind or not. You still have wudu. Huh? With regards to the last day of Ramadan, there's something that every year I mention, and I'll mention it again. One of the reasons, or the main reason people travel on the last day, or Yawm al-Shak, is so that they will act upon a precaution, ihtiyat. We have rawad, this is al-ihtiyatu hasanun ala kulli hal. It's best in every situation. Or ihtiyatu sirat al-nijat. It's the way of being rescued, to do precaution. Hence some of the ulama you see back in the day, even now they do precautions in many areas. When it comes to the month of Ramadan and Yawm al-Shak at the end of the month of Ramadan, it's a good place to take a precaution. Why? Because we said it's wajib against haram. So it's either wajib to fast or it's haram to fast. Unlike the beginning of Shahr Ramadan. So, if you want to travel, you can have the intention the night before that if tomorrow is Shahr Ramadan, then you're fasting until you go traveling, like you would go traveling there. With regards to traveling, by the way, there are certain laws. For example, say the Hawza says you have to have the intention the night before that you're traveling. You can't just make up your mind that you're traveling in the morning. In any case, that we'll come to later on.
What would happen if, apart from this precaution thing, what if something happened and you had to travel, you still have to fast?
Yes, unless you have the intention the night before. Now, if you wanted to take the precaution and you had the intentions. You have the intention that tomorrow I'm going to fast until the time I travel, but not fast because I don't know, it might be haram for me to fast. So I do imsak qurbatan Allah. So I will stay away from all mufattarat with the niyyah qurbatan Allah, whatever my duty is. Now, one of the issues that I've opened up here, and I've discussed it with some of the ulama, and I think that this is the best way to take a precaution. Obviously, I'm not saying that everyone should listen to what I'm saying. Everyone has their marja and they can do what they want. I think this is a precaution in taking a precaution. What is the way of taking the best precaution? I think that the best way to take a precaution is this: that instead of traveling at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., because for 2-3 hours you have to be in imsak or in the doubt period. First of all, هل يجوز تردد النية? Is it permissible to have that تردد النية? If it's تردد النية is allowed, then take it through the whole day. Why travel? Although we have great ulama that have done this, so I have not spoken to them, so I don't know. But a way out of this taraddud in the niyyah, on the intention, is to travel when? To travel before Fajr. So get out at an hour before Fajr, go on the road. So you're out already by the time it's Fajr. So you don't need to have this problem of the complication of niyyah. So you have the intention of traveling and you're out already. So as soon as it's Fajr, you eat something, you come back home. Then definitely you've gone according to the precaution. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for the last day of the Shahr Ramadan, this would be the easiest way to do it. Rather than think about what time you would travel and that sort of unknowingness state of the intention during those few hours that you're fasting or not fasting or imsak or not imsak and so forth. Instead, leave just before Fajr, so that by the time it's Fajr time, by the time you should have had your niyyah and everything done, you're already a traveller. So there's nothing on your shoulders.
It's quite difficult to do that.
Why? Okay, so we're talking about the fiqh issues. The difficulty or easiness is down to you. If someone doesn't want to do it, if anyone doesn't want to take precaution, they can fast. We said that Ramadan is Ramadan until you have conviction. It's not Ramadan. Someone that doesn't want to take precaution, they can fast. Someone that doesn't want to take precaution, they can travel. Someone take extra precaution, they can travel the way that I mentioned. In any case, these are to do with the intentions of Shahr Ramadan. There are certain things that we have to cover as well, where intention comes into it. For example, the fasting that is qada of a person who's passed away. So the Walad al-Akbar, the oldest son who has to take over. The intention comes into play there. Also, with regards to the actions which are forbidden with certain intentions that break the fast and invalidate the fast, we'll come to in the next sessions inshallah. Walhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala ahli bayt at-tayyibin at-tahirin.